I stood in front of the ornate Victorian mansion, clutching the invitation I shouldn't have received. The annual Thompson family photo session, a tradition spanning 3 generations, where the successful members gathered to document their achievements. For 15 years I'd been explicitly uninvited. "Your lifestyle doesn't match our family image," Mom would say, referring to my decision to leave their real estate empire and strike out on my own. The fact that I'd walked away from the family's multi-million-dollar brokerage firm was considered the ultimate betrayal. The autumn air carried the scent of fallen leaves as I watched the parade of luxury cars pull up. My sister Victoria's Bentley, my brother Alexander's Mercedes, and my parents' Rolls Royce, all purchased through the family business's success. Meanwhile, I'd parked my embarrassing Tesla around the corner, not wanting to draw attention just yet. "Miss? Are you here for the Thompson shoot?" A young assistant called out, clipboard in hand. "Yes," I replied, straightening my designer blazer, not that anyone would recognize it as one. I'd learned to dress down around family. "I'm Catherine Thompson." Her eyes widened slightly. "Oh, Mrs. Thompson said you might. I mean, she wasn't sure if I'd dare show up?" I finished for her, managing a small smile. "Well, here I am." The mansion's double doors opened, revealing my mother in all her glory. Elizabeth Thompson, the queen of luxury real estate, dressed impeccably in Chanel, her silver hair perfectly coiffed. "Catherine." Her voice carried that familiar note of disappointment. "I thought we discussed this." "You discussed it, Mom." "I never agreed." She sighed dramatically, a sound I'd grown up hearing. "Darling, these photos are for the company website. We need to project success, stability. And I don't fit that image?" I challenged, finally stepping past her into the grand foyer. The inside of the mansion was exactly what you'd expect: crystal chandeliers, marble floors, and enough antiques to fill a museum. "Well, look who decided to grace us with her presence." Victoria's voice dripped with sarcasm as she descended the main staircase. "The prodigal sister returns." Alexander emerged from the library, barely glancing up from his phone. "Still playing entrepreneur, Cat?" Their spouses and children were scattered throughout the house, all dressed in coordinating outfits. The perfect family portrait in the making. Dad appeared last, his imposing figure filling the doorway to his study. "Catherine, this is unexpected." "I was invited." I held up the cream-colored invitation. "That was clearly a mistake," Mom interjected quickly. "Margaret must have used the old mailing list." The photographer and his team were setting up in the grand salon, arranging lights and backdrops. I could see them through the French doors, preparing to capture another year of the Thompson family's carefully curated success story. "Actually," I started, but Victoria cut me off. "Mom, we need to start soon. The Realtor is coming at noon to discuss listing this place." That caught my attention. "You're selling the mansion?" "Not that it's any of your business," Mom sniffed, "but yes. Your father and I are downsizing to the penthouse in the city. This place is simply too large now." I bit back a smile. "They only knew." "Now, Catherine," Mom continued, her voice taking on that patronizing tone I knew so well, "perhaps it's best if you leave." I finished. "Disappear? Like I'm supposed to do at every family event." "You chose this," Dad finally spoke. "When you walked away from Thompson Real Estate, you walked away from everything we built." The photographer called out that they were ready. The family began moving toward the salon, deliberately ignoring my presence. "You don't belong in these photos anymore," Mom said firmly. "You haven't for years. These are for successful family members only." Just then the doorbell rang. Margaret, their longtime assistant, hurried to answer it. "That must be Diana from Crystal Realty," Victoria said. "She's handling the mansion's listing." The front door opened and a familiar voice filled the foyer. "Good morning. I'm here to discuss the—" "Oh." Diana stopped short, seeing me. "Miss Thompson. I didn't realize. I mean, when they called about listing their mansion, I had no idea you were." Mom turned sharply. "You know my daughter?" Diana looked confused. "Of course. Miss Thompson owns Crystal Realty. We all report to her. In fact, she owns this mansion too. Bought it 6 months ago through one of her holding companies. Didn't you know?" The silence that fell over the foyer was deafening. Mom's perfect composure cracked, her face draining of color. Dad's mouth opened and closed without sound. Victoria dropped her phone, the crack of the screen echoing against marble floors. Actually, I said into the silence, I own all the properties in this neighborhood. And the Thompson real estate building downtown. And about 60% of your client portfolio. The photographer's camera clicked rapidly, capturing the exact moment my family realized that the daughter they'd banned from photos had become their boss. But this was just the beginning. The real estate empire they'd thought I'd abandoned? I'd spent the last 5 years quietly building something much, much bigger. And they were about to find out exactly how big. The silence that followed Diana's revelation was broken by the sound of more cars pulling up outside. Through the mansion's towering windows, I could see a fleet of black SUVs arriving my executive team, right on schedule. What's the meaning of this? Dad demanded, his face flushing red. You can't possibly own everything? I finished, pulling out my phone. With a few taps, I projected a holographic display in the middle of the foyer, a sophisticated 3D map of the city with properties highlighted in red. The red ones are mine. Or should I say belong to Eclipse Properties Group. Mom grabbed the nearest chair for support. Eclipse Properties? But that's the largest real estate development company in North America? I smiled. Yes, that's mine too. Has been for 3 years now. Victoria stepped forward, her perfect makeup couldn't hide her shock. That's impossible. Eclipse Properties is worth $47 billion as of this morning's market opening, my CFO Jessica announced as she walked in. Good morning, Miss Thompson. The Tokyo deal just closed. The photographer had abandoned all pretense of preparing for the family photo, instead capturing what would undoubtedly become historic images of the Thompson family's realization that their failure daughter was now their industry's biggest player. But you left real estate, Alexander stammered. You walked away. No, I corrected him. I walked away from Dad's outdated business model. While you were all fighting over who'd inherit Thompson Real Estate's modest portfolio, I was building something revolutionary. I gestured to Diana, who pulled up Eclipse's latest project on her tablet. Show them the Singapore development. The holographic display shifted to show a magnificent eco-friendly vertical city, a $30 billion project that had made headlines worldwide. That's your project? Dad whispered, recognition dawning in his eyes. The one that every major firm tried to bid on? Among others, I nodded. We're also developing sustainable housing communities in 12 countries, revolutionary smart cities in Europe, and yes, we own this entire neighborhood, including all the homes you've been so proudly brokering. Mom's carefully maintained composure finally cracked completely. Why didn't you tell us? Tell you. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Like when I tried to tell you about my first development project and you said I was playing pretend developer? Or when I attempted to share my sustainability initiatives, and Victoria called them cute little green projects. Jessica stepped forward with another tablet. Miss Thompson, the board is ready for the video call. Should I tell them you're busy with family? No need, I replied. Family photos won't be happening today. Instead, I turned to my parents. I think it's time we discuss the future of Thompson Real Estate. What about our real estate company? Victoria asked, her voice sharp with sudden fear. Well, sister dear, your company's market value has dropped 60% in the past year. Your methods are obsolete, your properties are underperforming, and your client base is shrinking. The only thing keeping you afloat is the family name, which ironically is now more associated with Eclipse Properties than your boutique operation. Dad's face had gone from red to pale. You're not suggesting a hostile takeover? I smiled. No, Dad. That happened 6 months ago through shell companies. I just didn't implement any changes yet. I wanted to tell you in person. The sound of Mom's pearls hitting the marble floor echoed through the foyer as her necklace broke from her trembling hands. Today was supposed to be about the perfect family photo, she whispered. No, Mom. Today is about reality. Your perfect family photo was always an illusion. The daughter you excluded? She now owns every building you see through those windows. The success you wanted to showcase. It's being eclipsed by the very person you tried to erase from the family image. My phone buzzed, another notification. Oh, and that penthouse you're planning to downsize to? I own that building too. In fact, I pulled up another holographic display, I own every luxury residential building in the city. Eclipse Properties acquired them all last year. Victoria sank onto the grand staircase, her designer dress crumpling. All this time, while we were mocking you, I was building an empire, I confirmed. One that makes Thompson Real Estate look like a small family shop, which, let's be honest, it is. Diana, who had been quietly observing, stepped forward. Should I still discuss the mansion listing, Ms. Thompson? No need, Diana. They can stay as tenants. I'm feeling generous today. The photographer's camera continued clicking, capturing every moment of this unfolding drama. These wouldn't be the perfect family photos Mom had planned, but they would tell a far more interesting story. Jessica approached again. The board is waiting, and Mr. Gates wanted to confirm dinner next week to discuss the Smart City collaboration. Bill Gates. Alexander choked out. No, I replied, echoing their years of condescension. All of them. The Gates Foundation is very interested in our affordable housing initiatives. You know, those cute little green projects Victoria mocked. The sound of more vehicles arriving drew everyone's attention. Through the windows we could see news vans pulling up right on schedule. Oh, I added casually, did I mention Eclipse Properties is going public today? The press conference will be here in the mansion's garden. I thought it would be fitting. Mom's perfect world was crumbling, Dad's business legacy was being overshadowed, and my siblings' future job security now rested in my hands. But this wasn't about revenge. This was about showing them that success doesn't always look like their narrow definition. Sometimes it looks like the daughter they excluded from every family photo. The garden press conference was about to begin, but the real drama was still unfolding inside the mansion. News crews were setting up their equipment against the backdrop of meticulously maintained roses. Roses I'd actually had imported from Japan 6 months ago when I bought the property. Your attention, please, Jessica announced to my stunned family. Ms. Thompson needs to prepare for the press conference. But first, perhaps you'd all like to see what's about to be announced. With practiced efficiency, she activated the mansion's hidden screens, another renovation I'd secretly implemented. The grand foyer transformed into a high-tech command center, displaying real-time stock market data, global property holdings, and live feeds from Eclipse Properties developments worldwide. Current company valuation, $47.2 billion, a holographic display announced. Projected value after IPO, $89.6 billion. Dad stumbled backward, catching himself on his antique desk. That's more than every other real estate company combined. Actually, I corrected him, it's more than every real estate company in North America and Europe combined. Eclipse Properties isn't just a real estate company, Dad. We're revolutionizing how people live. The screens showed our projects. Self-sustaining cities in Dubai, floating communities in Singapore, underground developments in Norway, and space habitation projects with NASA. Space. Victoria whispered. You're building in space. Someone has to prepare for the future, I replied. While you were all fighting over who'd get Dad's corner office, I was looking at the bigger picture. Quite literally. My phone buzzed again. Excuse me, I said, answering the call. Yes, Mr. President. The lunar housing project is proceeding as planned. Yes, the first units will be ready by next year. Mom's carefully applied makeup couldn't hide her pallor. The president of all of them, Jessica interjected. Ms. Thompson has contracts with 17 world leaders for various development projects. The mansion's front doors opened again, admitting a stream of business leaders and diplomats, all here for the press conference. They nodded respectfully as they passed me, completely ignoring my family. Catherine, Dad finally spoke, his voice different now, smaller somehow. Why didn't you just tell us? I tried, Dad. For years I tried. Remember last Christmas? I mentioned my new project and you all laughed. Mom said I should stop playing with buildings and find a real job. That project? It just housed 10,000 displaced families in sustainable communities. Alexander, who had been unusually quiet, suddenly looked up from his phone. Our stock, it's crashing. Yes, I confirmed. Because the market just realized that Thompson Real Estate's biggest competitor now owns controlling interest in your company. My company's IPO announcement included that detail. Victoria's husband, a junior partner at Thompson Real Estate, went pale. We'll all lose our jobs. No, I said firmly. Unlike you, I don't believe in punishing family. You'll all keep your positions after some restructuring. Thompson Real Estate will become a subsidiary of Eclipse Properties. A small one. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The daughter they'd excluded from photos would now be featured in every company document, every annual report, every corporate presentation. Miss Thompson, Diana called from the garden doors. The press is ready. I straightened my jacket and headed toward the door, then paused. Oh, Mom? About those family photos. She looked up, tears threatening to ruin her perfect makeup. Eclipse's marketing team will be here tomorrow. They'll need photos of the whole family, including me, for the company's heritage section. Do try to smile this time. As I walked out to face the press, I heard Victoria ask in a small voice, "Did anyone else know our sister was building actual cities in space?" The garden was packed with reporters, cameras flashing as I took my place at the podium. Behind me, through the mansion's windows, I could see my family watching, really seeing me for the first time. "Good morning," I began, my voice carrying across the hushed crowd. "Today, Eclipse Properties isn't just going public. We're announcing a new era in human habitation." The presentation that followed detailed projects that would reshape our world, and beyond. Sustainable cities, space colonies, underwater developments. Each announcement made Thompson Real Estate's achievements look more and more insignificant. From the corner of my eye, I could see Mom sinking into Dad's favorite armchair, her social standing crumbling as she realized her excluded daughter was now the talk of every social circle she tried so hard to impress. After the press conference, as reporters clamored for interviews, I returned to the foyer. My family hadn't moved, still staring at the displays of my global empire. "There's one more thing," I said, pulling out an envelope. "The annual Thompson Family Charity Gala next month? I've moved it to Eclipse's new floating hotel in Dubai. The guest list includes 3 former presidents, 2 royal families, and yes, Mom, all your social club friends." Mom's hands trembled as she took the envelope. "But the gala is our event.